Hello, Mario. For some time now, I have been wanting to have a real look at how AutoCAD deals with people who want to draw and plot in meters. I'm a surveyor and I like to draw and plot in meters, and there are some little tips and traps in AutoCAD that make this a little bit more complex than it needs to be. A lot of people, engineers and architects, tend to work in millimeters, and AutoCAD seems to pretty much be geared towards working in millimeters, and plotting out in millimeters. So let's just have a look at that, and here we go, and we'll just go to this layout here. Now what I've done here is I've just drawn a circle here, which I'll just click on there, and there with the quick properties we can see that it has a diameter of 100. But what is that 100? Well, just get rid of the quick properties there. Okay, well, the first thing we have to appreciate is that when we go into a drawing we set the units, and as a surveyor I usually set my units along these lines here. Decimal, obviously, precision, 3 decimal places, which is to the nearest millimeter, and I set it in meters. So that means that the drawing unit is units to scale inserted meters. I work in meters. You can work in millimeters, kilometers, anything you like really, but I prefer to work in meters. A meter is 1,000. Okay, now I also, just by the by, like to use degrees, minutes and seconds to this precision here. I like them to be clockwise, so I click that there, and I also like my north to be at 0 up the page. 0 is north, so that's generally what I set my units to, and I'm all good with that. Okay, so that's fine, except when we come to plot things out. Now when we come to plot things out, we have to set a scale. Now down here we have a plotting scale, or the model sort of scale here, and you can see that just changed there, but I've set that to 1:1 just before we go here. And now I'm just going to right click on the layout here and page setup manager, and I'm just going to modify it. So here we are. I've just got it set for the PDF printer A3. I like to plot the layout, so that's the layout as you see there. A3, I've got it in landscape, but the crux of it is in here, is this plot scale. Now what I suggest that you do is you leave it how I've got it set here. It's got the scale at 1:1, okay, and then we do any adjustments later out in the actual area itself. So we've got 1 millimeter equals 1 unit. Now remember that 1 unit is the meter. If it's the millimeter, of course, you've just got a 1:1. So 1:1 out in your when you're plotting is 1 millimeter to 1 millimeter. But here, because we've got the 1 millimeter as there, and then we've set the unit as 1 meter, we've actually got a 1:1000 thing going on there, and that's what we have to bear in mind. So that's what I've just found is the easiest way to deal with it. And if people do have other ways of looking at it, I'd certainly be interested, and quite happy to retract my video if that is the case. But this is what I've found works for me, and this is what I do. So we just close that. So here we are. Here's our model space. Now what I'm going to do now is something that I've done at home here, and I'm just going to turn on this layer, the circles layer here, and this I'm going to go into paper space. Now this is a layer that I have produced in paper space. So if you can see that we're actually, if we go into model space, it'll just select the green there, and as you can see, if we go to the quick properties, there's our circle well, it's not actually going to give us the, it's looking at the hatch rather than the circle. I'll just click out of there and let's just go, oh no, is that it there? Yes, that's in our model space there, and there's our circle, diameter 100 with the green hatch in the middle of it. So now if we go to paper space, I've just got a red circle there, and you can see that that's got a diameter of 100 as well, and down in, just going back to model space, down in here we've got the 1:1 viewport scale. So as you can see there, we've got 100 diameter there and 100 in the thing. That's at a 1:1 in the 1:1 thing, which is actually, in fact, you'll find out, of course, is that because that's 100 millimeters in the model space represents 100 meters, and 100 millimeters in the paper space is 100 millimeters. So that's actually a scale of a 1:1000, which you can see here. 100 meters at 1:1000. 1 millimeter equals 1 meter. So 100 meters will be 100 millimeters at 1:1000. Now it's that 1:1000 thing that we've got to bear in mind. So what I've done here is I've produced this little plot scales thing. So down here is the model scale, which is your 1:1. So in this instance here, I'll just turn that back to paper so that we can zoom in there. In this instance here, we've got our 1:1 here, and if we were working in millimeters, as you can just see there, if we were working in millimeters, it would be a 1:1 scale. But because we're in meters, it's a 1:1000 scale, and the reverse of 1:1 is 1:1. So that's what's going on there. So let's see if we wanted to go for the slightly smaller scale of, say, 1:2000. So just going down to my little chart here, I've got 1:2000, and in the viewport scaling thing there, I'd put 1:2. So if we were working in millimeters, well, it would be 1:2. 1 millimeter equals 2 millimeters, but because we're working in 1000, in meters, we got 1 millimeter equals 1000 equals 2000. 1 to 2 would be equal 2000 millimeters. So let's just go back to model space here, and let's just swap. Let's just go to that 1 to 2, and there we go. That's our 1:2000 one there. Now that's obviously still going to be 100 meters in model space, but in our paper space, it's going to be a diameter of 50. So let's have a look up here. 100 meters at 1:2000, we can see that 1 millimeter equals 2 meters. So 100 meters will be 50 millimeters. So the diameter was 100, and now it's 50 millimeters at 1:2000. So if we're just looking at our chart here, we can see that here's our 1:2000 here. So we want 1 to 2. 1 to 2 will give us 1:2000. Note the reverse of that is 0.5 to 1, which I'll explain what's going on there with our next one. So okay, what happens if we want 1 to 500? Well, now at 1 to 500, so what we do there is we look up here 1 to 500, and we can see here that in terms of our model scale, that would be 1 to 0.5. But when we look through here, we don't have a 1 to 0.5. So we can reverse that. So 1 to 0.5 is the same as 2 to 1, and we have a 2 to 1 here. So the 2 to 1 would be our 1 to 500. So let's just click on the 2 to 1, and there we go. We can see that the model space is now gone at that. It's gone bigger, and it's still 100 meters in model space, 100 millimeters at 1 to 500. 1 millimeter equals half a meter, so 100 meters will be 200 millimeters, and we click on there, and there we are. We can see that straight away our that's because we're in model space. In model space it was 100, but if we go to paper space, we can see that that's now a 200 millimeter diameter, as we predicted there. So what do we do? Let's just close that there. We're in paper space here, so we can just flick down. So the thing is that whatever scale we want to plot out at, or these here are generally accepted, the sort of standard scales that you use. So what sort of method could you do? Well, one of the things that you could do is actually come down here, and you can just if you go into paper space here, and you can just go in here, and you can just zoom paper space to whatever you want, or you could go for your extents here. Oh, that's not good. And Control Z gets us back to here. So, but you can adjust your. You might want to go slightly bigger, perhaps like something like that. So, and you can see down here that that's got straight away. It's got 2.841. Now, 2.841. That's yeah. That's a. Let's just go back to one to one for a start, and then see how that goes. And then if we can go bigger than that, so we can go 2 times that. And yeah, so we were going 2 to 1, and then we could go maybe 4 to 1. That's too big, so we could nip back to 2 to 1, or we can go with some sort of custom scale even. We can go to a custom scale here, and we could sort of just looking here, we could maybe edit 1 or something, or add 1. So the name of our custom scale, so in there we had 2.8. so if we went to 2.5, 1 to 2.5 perhaps, 1 to 2.5, we could put that in. And paper units, just have a quick check here, maybe just have a look at the 2 one there, just edit that. Oh yes, 2 paper units to 1 drawing unit, cancel. So we could add 1 here, that was 2.5 to 1, and that would be 2.5 paper units. Okay, all right. Okay, and then we could maybe, we've got that one there, we could select it there, and we can see that that's slightly bigger. And then we could, just looking at our chart here, it's sort of that's 2.5 to 1, which is that's going to be there it is there, 1 to 400, 2.5 to 1. So we could go to 1.400, we could go to 1.300. We saw that we had 2.8, but there's nothing sort of really in that area. So there you go. So I'll just flick this back just to give you another show here. Back to 1 to 1. So there you go. Back to paper space, click the extents. There you go. That's a little bit of a look at how you can work in meters in your model in meters, and plot it out into recognized scales from your paper space and into your layouts and what have you. And yeah, using my little chart there, which is fairly simple. You'll see that there's a bit of a generic thing here. So 1 to X, if you're using millimeters, 1 to X. If you're using meters, 1 to 1000X. And for the reverse, it's just 1 over X. 1 over X to 1 be the same one, and that's how I've generated all of those things there. So there you go. Enjoy.